Mark Rogers TV, the voice of college football, always talking the game that we love, going down to the Plains to talk Auburn Tigers with the spring game on tap for this Saturday, April 7th with Benjamin Wolk. You can join him in SEC country. Benjamin, how you doing tonight?
I'm doing great, Mark. Thanks for having me.
Yes, thank you so much for jumping on here. We've got to catch up with Auburn, one of the major players in the SEC, to see what's going on during spring practice that started February 27th, culminates, of course, this Saturday. Before we get to 2018, would love to get your take on a bizarre 2017 from the standpoint that when you beat Alabama, that's always the pinnacle for Auburn football. You win the division. You beat two number ones in the span of 3 weeks, and of course the eventual national champion, but you don't get there because you lose the SEC championship in a rematch. And then you have this kind of odd matchup that everybody fears to an extent when they reach the New Year's Six, that they get matched up against the group of five, and then you get the Cinderella group of five, the undefeated Central Florida team that you lose as a double-digit favorite. So just kind of weed through that for us in terms of where Auburn stands with 2017.
It was, you said it best. It was a crazy sort of way to finish out the year, playing the two teams that ended up playing in the national championship and beating them both by double digits, having to play the rematch in the SEC championship game against a team he just beat by 23 points a couple weeks before that. And then, like you mentioned, playing UCF, who is one of those teams you just don't want to have to play in those New Year's Six games. I think that the fan base has had trouble sort of processing all of it. What does it mean? Where does Auburn stand? What should their expectations be going into 2018 based off how 2017 ended? It was good enough for Gus Malzahn to get a 7-year contract extension. So at least the Auburn brass, they felt that it was a good enough finish to warrant a future under Gus Malzahn. I think that there's some skepticism from the fan base a little bit about how to perceive how last year ended. At the end of the season, the end of the regular season, I think every Auburn fan in the world would have wanted Gus Malzahn to have a contract extension. But then when you close out with a loss to Georgia after you just beat them in a game that many would argue is more meaningful, and then a loss to Central Florida, who, despite themselves claiming themselves as national champions, I think a lot in the Auburn fan base feel that that's one that they need to win every time. There's some uncertainty, but again, I think that there's a lot of promise going into this 2018 season, and there's a lot of turnover, or not a ton of turnover other than at the running back position going from 2017 to 2018. And I think that's why there's a sense of confidence in the fan base this year.